Yo, what's going on? It's your man Jay Blaze, the Daddy Dialogue Podcast. Got my co-host, my man, the man who has been through the trenches with me. Finally, I got with the trenches. That's what ahí con la pistola, loco. I got my man Bonsky, aka Allen. I like to say your artist name. It is what it is, but
it's cool, bro.
Go check out his single. I'll tell you. I don't know. He don't even tell me to do this, so don't think that I was coast on saying this, but go check out the man's single. I'll tell you in a minute.
Let me be your friend first before you judge me as an artist. You know what I'm saying? Like,
listen,
come on.
Today,
love
man,
me as a friend.
I will. I promise you I will. I'm excited because this conversation we're having today on this podcast, I have a special guest, and we did. If you watched us on Instagram, she was on an IG live, and so it went so well, Alan.
Killed it.
That I was like, we really got to have this conversation, and people have to be able to hear all our pieces without banged up internet or raggedy phones. And so
pixelated.
Yes, exactly. And so I was like, yo, hopefully this time we get all the audio really well, which it looks like, and we are ready to roll. We're going to be talking about, which we touched on IG Live, we were talking about the difference between public, private, and homeschooling. And it was, I'll be honest, it was like a Pandora's box as soon as we started talking about it, because everybody and their mama
chiming in.
Muchacho, they couldn't even stop. But let me introduce our guest. I have Anita Hernandez, right?
Hey.
Rivera. Let's. I already banged up her name when we just started.
What was her name again?
Anita Rivera. That's so Puerto Rican, right? But she is a teacher, educator, and it is a privilege, Alan, to have a teacher among us today.
Sure, bro.
That is
heroes.
Yes, that is shaping and molding.
Yeah, man.
The next generation.
No doubt.
It sounds so corny, but it works.
Nah, it's the truth.
So she is here today because she's going to help us navigate. And I think we said this on the IG Live, Anita, that we are not professionals. And the reason why this is called the Daddy Dialogue Podcast is because we want to have a dialogue. And so we won't be picking sides. We'll be giving the pros and the cons on each, and then you determine on what you think works best. Of course, we'll all give what we think.
Totally malleable.
Yes. I mean, that's a pretty...
Thank you, because...
That's because you got a teacher
that
here.
That one thing that
she said that.
Remember
so
that?
Remember from the
it wasn't
IG
malleable. It was some other thing, and I was like...
Automaticity.
Automaticity.
Oh, my God. Listen, guys.
Ever since then, bro, I was like trying to write bars with automaticity.
You guys.
Yeah, some of y'all dissing me with automaticity.
Alan, please don't go that hard, because I'm going to not know what these words mean, and I'm going to be lost, bro. Like, keep it simple. Although I do want
some automatocratics.
Yo, what is even that? Like, so no, give me the what's the definite?
Automaticity is when you have you've memorized it so well that you don't even have to think about it anymore.
Okay.
You just start talking,
it's
or
just
it pops out of your mouth.
It's like a learned muscle, like you.
It's automatic.
Memory. Okay, perfect. All right, don't use that again, bro.
No,
I don't want to be confused.
It'll be in there eventually.
It'll just come to you like the word actually describes. So first of all, we are making it clear before anyone comes for our heads, we're not professionals. We're not saying that you pick one over the other, but I think it's extremely important to have this dialogue because a lot is happening when it comes to education. And when we're talking about fathers and mothers are having a really hard time now, especially when it comes to just homework at this point. And so first of all, why is education important? This is something we said on the IG Live. I'm going to keep referring to it because I want to make sure my points, and we covered a lot of what we did on the IG Live, and we cover it here. So first of all, Anita, for people that are listening, Alan, you can answer right after. Why is education important for those people who are wondering? Because this is sort of the overall theme of what we're talking about.
Well, education definitely levels the playing field. It gives children a foundation as to what they might be able to find their skills and their talents and their giftings. And it gives them, they can build confidence that way. And it's something like, when I say level the playing field, obviously we come from different socioeconomic backgrounds, and access to higher positions and jobs and all that, it's gonna require new skills. And they need to have basic skills to get the skills that they're gonna need to make money and be able to support a family in the future. It's good for the economy. It's good for society.
There's so much to that.
So yeah,
I know it's a deep question, because you could go so many different ways. And when we wrote it on Facebook, I mean, everybody was going in with their breakdown. But then I found one that was really simple, and it was pretty much it makes you. I think it was you can navigate through society better when you have an education, and so you can move around. and it opened doors. I think also, if you look at it, education opens doors to opportunities, more money. I mean, everything. There's just a boundless amount. The more education you have, the better you are at making more money, being more profitable, navigating through certain situations.
Gives you more options.
Yeah.
You don't have to deal with just whatever you're given or whatever your situation is. It can, like you said, mobility. You can move up in society, but without it, it's very hard to get into that kind of a place.
And so you should care about, I mean, especially when we're talking about this, we should care about what our kids, what kind of education they're getting. If you're not really, it should be one of the most important things, especially when they're going to school, that you should navigate to some degree and really care about what it is. And so that brought a really big question for me personally. I was like, yo, which is better? Is it homeschooling? Is it private school? Or is it, what we're saying, homeschooling, private or public? A lot of people, and so I want to make sure we do this before we jump into anything. I think they all have pros and cons. The more I dug into them, I realized, man, like some people went, especially, and I saw this Alita and Alan when I wrote this question out there. Some people were so dogmatic, like, yo, this is it. Yeah. This is the way. And they felt like they had this light shining on, and they had the epiphany, like, yeah, my kid, he's doing homeschooling and we're teaching him the ways of the Lord. And at the same time, he is in the right passage. He's not being infiltrated. And I was like, okay, good. Yes. But there's some things that as I dug deep into let's start with homeschooling. Yeah. Let's talk about the pros and the cons. Alan, what are the pros and cons you think, at least, and I know you answered this when we were doing IG Live. For sure. What were the pros and cons you remember about homeschooling that you recall? I
do definitely remember saying that your social, ability, being able to be social
with kids, with other students.
Yeah, with students is limited, and it can really be a deficit for that student because they're just involved with themselves. And that can really be like detrimental to them, because then what's going to happen when they face adversity outside with someone of higher or lower stature? You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be like he's going to try to invent something and it's going to mess him up, because now what he thought from what he took on a small scale was going to work outside. And then they'll get angrier quicker. I guess that's what I take it, because everything's given to them right there, then and there in homeschool. You get what you want, and that's it. There's never a tuss and, well, I wanted that crayon. Well, no, you get this one, You're
set and ready to go.
Yeah, and you have to be given something.
I will say this, when I brought that up, they came from my head, because it was like an old excuse that I used to use years ago. When I was first presented homeschooling, I was like, well, the environment, and they can't engage, and like there's a stigma or this stereotype. They say if you get homeschooled, you're a little sort of awkward and you don't know how to communicate with people. Yep. But then someone came from my neck on Facebook and was like, well, buddy, now there's pods and there's communities and there's people that get together, and so that environment no longer exists. Like, wah.
That's
and they were like, I didn't know first. And then after I did some homework, I was like, oh, snap, there's like this whole community now that backs homeschooling.
But then that's the same difference, because then you get cliquey.
It is. But, and we said this on the IG Live, there's nothing like the experience we had when we were in school.
Exactly.
That community, like, I can only say, like, really high school. Yeah. Like when I used to go to Jackson, and you would go from one period to another, and you would stop in a certain section. Your homeboys would chill. Y'all would talk. It was rubbish, but there was just, there was just something really, there was something really powerful about it that made you feel like, yo, I could rock with that. That could work with me.
Exactly.
And so, like, that doesn't happen now, especially because
not even now.
Who are you connecting to? Your mom? Your pops? That's talking to you? Like, who's really like communicating to you? No one. And so like that's the part that has me thinking. But the more I dug into homeschooling, and this is why I'm glad we're talking about it here.
Well, the pro. So I gave you the con, but the pro is I can see it to a certain age.
Okay.
Right. So it has to pass. I mean, 4 years is to me, 4 years is the cutoff time on whether your child's going to be able to make it or not, as far as socially.
Okay.
Like you have
and
to
you mean
show
like,
him.
And you're talking about like in high school, or what are you talking about?
Homeschool.
Oh, whatever.
So, like, so if you're not throwing your kid out there and showing them what it is to get a grass stain on your jean, you're gonna have some problems because the kid's gonna be ñoñao like crazy.
Yeah,
So
that's
to a extent.
No,
to
you're
an
right.
Extent,
You're
you
right.
can have him in homeschool, but I think after that, when you know he's ready to be on his own, now that you built this war machine in a little, then he's ready to go.
So can I say, the thing is that there's so many ways to get kids involved with other kids. You could put them in sports. You could put them in all kinds of stuff, karate, and so that this way they get that socialization that they're not
necessarily
gonna be
mean, because if you look
too
at it now,
babied.
no, and you're right, Anita, because now, to be honest, even kids that are in public school that we're talking that they're socializing and connecting, they're really not. There's so much pressure with the overcrowded classrooms, the teachers.
And the thing is we have to look at it according to what's going on right now in the world. Back then, in our time, it wasn't quite like what's happening now. We didn't have all the technology and the social media and the bullying and the nudes and all that stuff going around.
Everything's ushered towards meta.
So
the
now, so now, although homeschooling in the past was like maybe unnecessary, but now we see if we're going to protect our children from the stuff that's going on, like from the mental illness that's happening now, the depression, because of being so exposed to technology, and the kids are chatting all night long, and they're talking to each other and insulting each other, calling each other this and that, taking pictures that at school of them, and then photoshopping them, and then embarrassing them throughout middle school and high school. It's making it really hard for kids to just be at school, and the socialization at school is like it's interrupted. It's not like how you were like in person talking to each other, you meet up or whatever. They still kind of do that, but everything is about the phone, and that is what changes, I think, what should change our perception of homeschooling, as now is like it might be necessary if you want your kid to be healthy mentally and out of the, because clickiness happens everywhere.
And that's why I fear when you said, well, you got sports. Okay, so the pressure of that is that they're already there trying to perform, and then trying to have a social network within that sect. It's not really that type of environment because you're so worried about the pressure of performing. So is that really the setting when you're concentrating on winning?
And even
moms invite all the kids from the sports team to the birthday party of the kid, and then they play there.
So you can find it. Yeah, you can.
But see, that's where the clicky thing starts again.
Yeah, I mean, but that's gonna happen
because the moms are gonna be like, I don't go with her because I don't. Mesh them all together. Let them learn what it is to be different.
I think regardless of where you go, it's gonna happen one way or another.
Yeah.
I'm just saying from the standpoint of that no longer is an excuse for saying, like, some people would pitch it. I remember back then, not anymore. I think people have figured that out. But like back in the day, I remember the dialogue was like, hey, I wouldn't put my kid in homeschooling because he's going to be awkward or he's not going to be able to talk to people. And you're right. Phones have changed everything. The complexity of how kids engage now is so totally different. And then sadly, like I was thinking for a second here, when I was in school, they had beepers, cuz that's just showing my age. And so we're gonna proceed. We're just gonna proceed on with the 143s and the numbers we used to put. Let's just move on. Let's not talk about that. But
1, 1, 3,
so that's the pros, and then so that was one of the pros, and then we're talking about the cons. One of the things I saw, and we can't go too deep in this because it goes into this rabbit hole that's even uglier, is I started to check the origins of why homeschooling was started. And the scary part is, and some people might not want to hear this, but homeschooling was started not because people wanted to have their kids by themselves at school. It's because white people didn't want to have their kids around black kids or Latinos.
Snap.
And so it started there, and don't come for me, but it's the reality. Go do your homework and you'll realize that's how it started. It's changed because in the last 2 years, more Black and Latino families have joined this homeschooling movement. The problem has been inside of that circle of the homeschooling movement is that there's this thing called the Joshua generation. I don't know if you guys know what this is. I'll put you on game. It's scary. It's this federation of homeschoolers that get to go to this building, this government building. I don't know where they do it, somewhere in Florida. And for a week, and I'm going to tell you why it's a little troubling, okay? We won't go too deep, but so you get an idea. So all these homeschoolers, these students that are homeschoolers that are in high school at that age, they go to this government building, and they're pretty much running a role-playing position in a position of government. And so you're talking about you already know where this is going. But
Masonic
the problem,
Lodge.
Anita, the problem is that, and it's great because you see attorney generals, lawyers, people that work in, city officials. They're all role playing for a week. They get to run this position. It's literally all these different positions, right? But when you go look at the scope, there's no Black or Latino kids. And so what's happening is these white kids are learning the value of having these power positions. They're role playing it, learning it. Some of them are starting to feel the desire of like, oh, I'm going to run for office when I turn 22, or I'm going to get a city official position.
Being groomed for it.
Yep.
Son.
Like, bro, when I saw it, I was like, oh my God. Like, and I was looking like, where's the Latino here?
Yeah,
let me find a little black kid.
Costs.
And so I don't want to go too deep in that because I think this is a whole nother conversation. But it scared me because and the reason why I say this is because there's a huge organization, a foundation that supports all homeschooling in the U.S. And what they do is people pay homeschoolers, parents, pay a fee, and this organization has lawyers that defend you if the state comes for you or tries to come for you and say you got to take your kid to school, what. And so this is all, it's like the NRA, for homeschooling.
Bro,
it's crazy. And so when I saw that, I was like, Diache Loco, this goes so much more. And so just do your homework, because I got some people that come at me on Facebook and they have flags like, this is the way. And I'm like, yo, calm down, cuz like, it's not all you think it is. You know what I mean?
So to address that, the thing is though, that may have been an organization or a reason that they started homeschooling. But learning and education at home is like historical. Like people had governesses in the 1800s, 1700s. They had all education.
That's why you're
was
here,
happening
Anita.
at
This is
home.
why you're here.
Governance.
Clear us out so I'm not looking crazy.
Like a nanny, like
Help
Mary
a brother
Poppins.
from San Francisco.
Mary Poppins.
Okay.
So they would have a governess, and she would do the education. She would, teach them
What's the
French
name
or
again? Say it again.
Governance.
Loco, tú ves esa vaina.
It
Loco. Yo no sé
seems
qué-
like
governance. Yeah, it sounds like a deep
man,
thing.
like,
Pero tell me una cosa, Anita.
who's
Ya
the
que you open
governess
the
of
box.
the USA?
Were black people or Latino? Yeah, they were? No. This was
because
who could
for
afford it,
those
right?
who could afford a governess
Education.
had the education was
There it
for
is.
those who were more wealthy. So, but that doesn't mean that people weren't self-educating or educating at home. There's stories of all kinds of like slaves who they were taught at home by whoever could, like maybe like a white landowner who actually was compassionate to the slaves. And
There's
they would
also
teach them.
laws that
Yes.
were put back then, Anita, that I found that
Okay.
if you were a white person and
You weren't allowed to
what
teach
you got?
black people how to
Listen, this
read.
is like
No.
18
Yo,
people,
what?
right? Wait. Let me put you on game, bro. This is when I read this, I was like, this can't be real. I went and cross-referenced, and it was like the law of 1843 or something way back. Okay, and if you were a white person and you got caught educating a slave, it was a $500 fee. You understand in 1843 what $500 was, that's like $1 million. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Bro.
Like literally, they tried to put the fear of the Lord
Yeah.
in you to not
Bring back the teepee.
There
But
were
I
a
didn't
lot
know
of
ab-
Christian
but I didn't know
slave
about-
owners.
see, that's the part I'm
they would
interested in
teach
knowing.
their
That.
slaves how to read because they knew it was wrong, but they wanted to help them, have some kind of
Yes,
an
of
advantage.
course. And
So-
someone like low key,
Yeah.
either watch or listen or write down, like, well, they weren't writing,
Like
but
Phyllis Wheatley, she learned Greek, she
Yes.
learned Latin, she was a
There's
poet.
great examples.
All
Yeah,
kinds
I
of
understand.
people, yeah. But obviously, it wasn't
but
the
I
whole
didn't know
thing.
about the governess, like that whole term. I've
That
never
seems
heard it.
metaphorical. Something of the elites. But I ain't. Anyways,
Well, let's keep moving.
Bring
Let's
back
keep
the
going
teepees.
but that's
Bring
why I
back
have
the
it. I'm glad,
teepees.
but I'm glad she told us because yo no sabía eso. That's great to know because that adds,
Yeah.
and you get a preface too.
Yo.
But it
Little
always
more
comes
depth.
back to who had money and who could
Take
afford
us
it.
back.
Like Thomas Edison, his mom educated him at home because they said he was dumb. So they were like, "There's nothing to do with this kid." So he went home, and his mom,
Yo.
and they were poor. They didn't have money.
So it's
Mom
yeah.
decided
So
to teach them how
that
to
wasn't
read.
the yeah. Okay,
And
so that
Albert Einstein taught at home.
tú ves loco,
So-
tú ves por eso que tenemos ahorita
But there's
aquí,
some
loco.
genetic
So I
like,
won't look crazy.
advancements in there
All right,
too.
let's
Yeah.
keep going because if not, me and you will keep going on
Okay.
this. It just gets
Let's
so.
keep
We
going.
gotta have more details on
Come
that.
on.
But this
One
is
last
so
thing,
good. What?
like African Americans are opening up a lot more to homeschooling because now the stigma of it is like the weird kids or whatever. But now they're starting to see that they're not getting the best education for their child in either in their neighborhood or the district. There's no money for the school. So they're taking control of that because all of it is perception. Whatever perception you've been given, like from whatever
That's what you
your
think, yeah.
upbringing, it's like people are they're gonna shy away from new, different ways of taking control of their lives. And so I just think like it's opening up more. Like people are saying like I can have control over what my kid learns. I can have control over how my kid, you know, their future is going to turn out, because we've just left it to the government and left it to whoever tells us this is the way to do it. So do it this way. Everybody's doing it like this.
So it gives them an opportunity to see other.
So people are starting to see that there's other ways.
Which I think is great, bro, to know. Because now it just gives them, it's like an open door. Like, let's go. Everybody has a chance.
And technology, that's
has afforded that too because of technology. You're 100% correct. Yo, we're going to take a break. If you haven't followed on Facebook, the Daddy Dialogue podcast, go ahead and do that. And if not, make sure you drop us a review on the Spotify's, okay? Because Alan asked you and I didn't. All right, we'll be right back. We got to talk about public and we got to talk about private school and give you the scoop on what you should choose, give you the options, and see what's best for you. We'll be right back right here on the Daddy Dialogue podcast.
Keep it locked. See, I did something.
There you go, son. Back to the Daddy Dialogue podcast. I'm your man, Jay Blaze. Got special guest, Anita. And you know who rolls with me all the time? My man, Alan Bonsky. And, hey, what's the name of the single real quick? Let's get that out of the way real fast.
Oh, man, Left Side. Go check it out. You want to feel like you like, bro.
He didn't even tell me, but I promise you the hook is catchy. I'm not even fronting no cap.
That's why you my busted to Spliff Star, bro. You know what's up already, man.
It's pretty dope. Check him out.
Feel like you're in vacation. That's it.
He didn't even tell me to do that, but it's love out here. It's familia. If Anita had a single, we'd push her worship song right now, too. I wouldn't even care.
Always looking out.
That's how we
you
do.
Sing?
Bro,
Yo, the network. Homeschool wouldn't have done that.
Yo. It's public schools. But Juanita, you did all different kind, right?
I did private and I did public.
Okay. And you, Loco, you did public only?
All the way.
Like me, cuz. You know what I mean? Join the team, cuz. You couldn't afford none of that. These rich people did all that.
You would have been found doing a high clap like that?
Yeah.
Yo, you're done. We could do it now. We're dads. Give it there, partner. And then you cross, and then you cross. Forget it.
They're going to see it on camera. That's what it's going to be funny.
They build strength. They build strength. Yeah. With the fake boots. They see you with the fake Timbs on. I had to draw on my Timbs so that they won't, with the fake Timbs.
I wasn't expecting that when you said it. I was like, yo, we literally look like dads for real, throwing up hands.
It is.
All right, let's keep moving. We're talking about the difference between public, private, and homeschooling. And I will say, learning about governors. Governance. I don't know why sí, porque me siento mal. She's already seen my spelling is atrocious.
Bro.
And now my verbiage is bad too.
I came in correct. I was quiet.
Yeah.
Hello, Miss Rivera.
That's because you have when teachers are around, you check yourself.
I already did.
Yeah, it's bad. That's why I'm not showing her in my notes because it's a pretty bad situation. So like how we were saying, guys, we are back because we had a great conversation on IG Live. Don't go watch that, okay? Just listen to this and go review it on Spotify. That's what you need to do. It's already done. It's old. It's past tense. Just follow us. And so we had this conversation about which one was better, and parents went in. It was a barnyard. They were going crazy. And the way some of these parents write, I will say, it's just been getting more and more crazier. The more questions we write, the more parents are getting involved, and we just appreciate every single person that takes a second to write on Facebook. It's been going a little crazy. And plus, we grew our Facebook group, guys. We were
past 100, I think.
Yeah, we were like 5 or 10, and now we're at 100. So there's some features now, thank God. We're still broke, but who knows? God is opening some doors.
Know.
And so we're excited about that. But thank you to every single person, especially on my page, on Alan's page. They've been writing because you tagged me and you let me know.
Yo, it went off.
And so I appreciate that, man. Everybody that gives us all this love. And so we use it, and we were so excited because people went in on this question. And so we spoke about homeschooling. We could have kept going, but we're going to stop there. We're going to proceed on with private school because, I got to represent public at the end. Private school, there is this notion that private school is better, especially because there's a religious association many times, not all schools. But people feel, no, it's a Christian school. So, we're getting the gospel and Jesus is being presented. And so the funny thing about that was, as I spoke to more people were like, yeah, one parent told me, yeah, it's better because, and they wrote this, I'm paraphrasing. They were like, yeah, because you're giving them money every month. So when you need something changed between us all, boom, we can say it and it just happens. It's like a dictatorship. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, well, they were pretty hard with it. And then I realized I had a father who told me he's a single father. He has 3 kids and he put them into private school. And he felt like he had to overguard what they were getting from some of the teachers. He said some of the teachers weren't as solid as he would wanted with their faith. And so certain things they were letting slide, and it was almost as wild as public, pretty much. They were like, you need to make sure, and I think all parents, if you're listening right now or watching, that no matter which one you pick, the key here is that you are going to have to be involved uberly in different ways, depending on which one it is. But with private school, they felt like they had to recheck and make sure that not just the vision statement looked great on the brochure, but that they were checking the backgrounds of the teachers and making sure they knew, like, all that kind of stuff, because some stuff they were letting slide. And eventually he had to, like, not that, because I have other parents that are like, yeah, it's amazing. We love it. The teachers are solid. They're teaching them not just school, but Jesus is involved. They have prayer service in the morning, And so I was like, all right, cool. Your experience, Alan, you didn't go to, so we'll go to Anita for this one.
Definitely.
Anita, you went to private school. How was your experience with it? What have you seen the pros and cons with it?
Well, for me, as an introvert, I loved it because it was small. I knew everybody in my grade.
That's right.
And we were able to, like, we grew really close. And we had really close friendships that, like, I had my little group. I ended up leaving because, like I said, I went to public and private. So we ran out of money. We ran out of money.
Keeping it real.
That was it. That was it.
That was the reason why you transitioned. If not, you still would have been in it.
Yeah, because my parents really cared. Well, my parents got saved. They had us. They wanted us to be in private. Well, my mom really wanted us to be in private Christian school.
Got it.
And we went to a private Christian school, and it was great because of, you know, just the closeness that you have, and you know everybody. The teachers know you. The teachers kind of, like, they can trust you and get to know you a little bit more. They have that connection with your parents. So it was different. And then when I went to public school in elementary, and I went to public school in high school. So I got, like, both ends.
But but you said you did enjoy private more.
I did enjoy the private more because of the closeness.
And I think what you said, like she said, was the classes were smaller.
Yeah.
So there was more, like, one-on-one. You can get more teaching.
Yeah. It wasn't as crazy as public school was because it's huge. There's thousands of students, and you're like, you get lost. But in the private school, we just had more of a connection with our teachers, and our teachers had more time to get to know us and to, like, reach out to us when we needed them and stuff. I don't want to contrast to the public school right now because we're not talking about it. Private school, it does have its benefits if someone needs more attention. Like, if a student needs more attention, that's a benefit. And a Christian private school, you're constantly being confronted with the gospel, and, you know, if you're a Christian, you're free to be yourself. You don't have to worry about, you know, being a Christian, but that doesn't mean that everybody there is a Christian.
It's true.
So that was...
And some people cover themselves. Like, oh, my kid's in a Christian school.
And they walking down the hall with all black.
Yeah. A lot of people who with money will put their kids in a Christian school not being a Christian and not really caring about that aspect of the education. Maybe that school is closer than another prep school that's not religious or something like that.
Yeah.
They generally feel like it's better though, right?
Yeah, because, well, the only thing that I could tell was when I went to public school in the middle of, because we ran out of money in my 10th, 11th grade.
Wow, you almost at the end.
Oh, you almost there.
So I had to leave the middle of the year.
Oh, man, that's
and then
harsh.
I went to
I have a great question for you.
In the middle of the year, and that was like...
Middle of what year? The 11th?
Loco, that's like at the end.
That's like, like you're getting ready to ride with your homies.
Exactly.
Or no, are you, if you...
There's all the events you're looking forward to, prom, all that stuff, and then it was like, whoop, nope, no more money. Can't keep coming.
We're back to the slaves. Oh my God, it's back. We're back to the peasants.
Yeah. But when they put me in the regular classes, they were way behind where I was at and stuff. So I was just coasting because it was like easier.
Yeah.
I got a question though. So I want you to give me a journey here. You don't got to go too deep or too long. But so when you transitioned, right, and you went from that 11th grade year, you went to public. Was it like, oh my God, welcome to the jungle?
Yeah.
Like it was an adjustment period?
Step
What do you think was probably the, or like, oh my God, people are cursing.
They're just stepping?
What? Oh my God, that guy's smoking weed. What was it? What was it? What were some of the things I think you had to adjust that you were so used to in private school when you went to public?
They kept everything under control in private school. And so, like, people, like the way we were rude was like being super sarcastic. In
Oh
private
yeah,
school.
like the nice way.
Yeah, yeah. But in public school, there was
People are
none of
talking
that.
nasty, fighting.
Cussing at the
Yeah.
teacher, you know, being
Oh my
rude and like,
God.
you know, not.
My mama
participating
told
in
me to
class.
tell you.
Yeah, they just, and even the teachers didn't care. That was like a big shock. The teachers
my
were just
God.
like, whatever, do whatever you're gonna do. and
It's
stuff.
crazy how
Yeah.
she says it's like a proper way of being disrespectful in
Yeah,
private.
so, yeah.
That was looked like a big deal, but then
Like
when you-
underhanded, passive aggressive. And
medio,
stuff.
medio,
Yeah.
pero aquí,
Did you see creativity more in the public or the private? Like just people who are just creative, people who are just
that's a good question because you
Yeah,
know you think because
artistic.
they're
I saw them both.
and both
Oh,
Yeah.
both.
they're
Yeah.
different, right?
We were very creative in our private school.
So you were good.
I always
So
wondered.
I was in art, I was in music, and the only thing is that the access to a variety of those types of programs is not.
Yeah, see, I was
available.
wondering because maybe
Yeah.
they were all graduating playing cellos.
But
No,
there were
there's
a lot
just-
of
there's-
there was a lot of students who were great artists in the private school and musicians. Lots of musicians were coming out of there because they, you know, well, to be a musician you have to have money to buy instruments and take lessons
Yeah.
and all that
So
stuff.
that-
So
okay.
there was that, you know, there. But then in public school, I mean, obviously because it's a free program, so you have a lot. You're gonna have a lot more also because the population is greater.
It's true.
So
Yeah, it's like a jambalaya of creativity all in
They were
one.
like I said,
Yeah.
and to hear like how that transition was for you, which is so funny to me because it's
Yo.
I could only wonder in your head when you're watching like the first moments two people just start slapping each other or fighting, and you're like, what in the trash
I was
bags?
like, let's
is
go,
going-"
let's go.
Yeah, let's
We're
go.
moving.
We're
Bro,
going
how,
back.
how
We're
did it
going-
affect you?
It was really bad.
Did it make you rough?
Oh,
Like
man.
did it?
I was,
I couldn't see myself doing that to my daughter.
yeah.
Cool. No, pero loco, cuando no hay billete, no hay
help it,
billete,
yeah.
manín.
I hear you, but
That's how my dad would have said it.
Yeah.
Nacho.
Loco, pagando eso. Look, let's be.
No, but like I was
Yo,
like the
I
poor
know-
kid at private school.
Don't
Chacho, se
don't
hace pro
payments.
templo.
Loco, those payments
Yeah.
monthly, cuz
Yeah, they
in
serious.
some of these schools.
I know they're serious.
Back
Yeah,
then
no,
it was
I
like
don't-
800 a month when I was there.
Mira
20
esa-
years ago.
Loco, y'all were rich. Y'all were some rich Puerto Ricans.
Yeah, but that was all the money from my dad's business was going to the school.
yeah.
We fell behind on our house.
I
We fell
know.
behind on our cars.
And no, your dad had to
repos.
make a choice.
Yeah.
Yo.
He's
So,
like, la renta o mi hija la educación. Y no
Wow,
vamos pa-"
that's-
but you turned out all right.
Gotta be balanced.
Regardless.
Thank God. Yeah.
You did good.
Yeah.
But it was like that junior year we lost going to the school. My sister had to repeat
That's so good. that-
repeat ninth grade.
Oh,
Why
snap.
you putting your
Because they
sister on blast like that? Oh
Yeah, it's
my
like the people
God.
that come from up north, they have to go
Hopefully she
back a
doesn't
grade.
hear this. I doubt
I'm
she
sorry.
will, but that's
she'll
bad.
laugh. But
She'll laugh.
she has a good sense of humor. But
Hello, youngins. Been here before.
because
Let's
we
go
couldn't
teach.
get the grades from the private school, so she had to repeat.
Oh, they couldn't
She didn't-
transfer them.
Yeah,
Oh,
because we still
what?
had to make payment on it or something
That's
like
bad,
that.
bro.
Finally, she got them, so she ended up going.
She's
to,
fixing
to
it for her
10th grade.
sister. She's fixing it for her sister. All right, listen. So, okay, so we got those two parts out. You know, now is my favorite time of the year when we talk about public. It is the die hard, the best. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just tripping. And I want to say this so people don't come for me and think that I'm picking a side. I think different kids function different in different environments. Some
Yeah.
like I have a family member right now, my sister, who is having to transition one of her kids from private to public because it's just too easy and the environment it's too small. And so not that it's just cliquish, but at the same time, there's no benchmarks that are higher than what's there.
It's not rigorous.
Yes, and she wants him to be a little more battle tested. Yes, and a little more street smart. And so, and she's like, one of them is going to stay here because it's good for a controlled environment for him, the smaller one. But the older one, we're going to throw him to the jungle.
Yeah.
and he's ready
How
for
young
it. We feel-
Leonidas was sent
Exactly.
in 300. Here's a stick. Now go get that wolf.
So to me, at first I was like, why are you doing that? Well, she's like, first, I'm going to save money. And two, I feel like he's ready for it. And so he needs more. And I feel like when we're talking about these things, every parent with their kids, it's a different scenario. Some of them thrive in different situations. In my personal situation, my son is thriving in public because I'm extremely involved with my wife.
That's what's up.
Extremely. Like, that's not just from Josiah's point, I'm watching the teacher. We're talking to her. There's a constant communication. What's happening with the curriculum? Like, and we told you we also help her with the supplies, which is a great. If you want some love with your teacher, go get her some supplies.
Straight up.
Man.
And that's what's important, to know your kid.
Yes.
Like parents, I feel like sometimes they don't really spend time getting to understand their child.
Yeah.
Not just like, oh yeah, I know he likes Cocoa Puffs or whatever. But
Yeah,
like,
no, like get
really
in there.
Knowing
What
their
is he really like?
personality.
Yo,
what
have you ever
exactly.
laid, like, just watch them and just laid on their bed while they're playing, and you're just asking them, hey, why would you do that? So why does
Exactly, yeah.
you know, little things? How does your brain work?
Details.
Exactly.
Bro, I love doing
And
that.
that'll help you realize what it is that's going to work best for your kid.
Or where they'll
because
thrive
what
the
kind of
best.
environment they need.
And so
Yeah.
speaking of environments, not that I want to favor one of these out of all, is public. And so we're going to talk about public, the pros and cons. Right now, I just feel like there's really not that many pros. It seems like there's a lot of cons.
Yeah.
And so, but in all the information I accumulated about public schools, I realized that there's still a lot of great teachers, educators in the school system. And these are teachers that are underpaid. I mean, the student to teacher ratio is ridiculous. And so it's already giving them, it's already putting them at a disadvantage. Like, I felt bad, like, the more I looked into it. And so that's why I feel encouraged in my own personal scenario to be like, I'm going to assist at least my son's teacher as hard as I can. Like, financially, if I got to pay for some stuff, we'll do what we got to do, because it's already extremely daunting on them. And
Straight
they're already,
up.
they're losing a
At
battle.
the end of the year, I gave me and my wife said, "Yo, let's give this woman a day treatment to the spa."
Well, that's nice.
Straight up, I ain't even lying to you,
I
because
don't know if
she
you got
was
that
I
kind
need
of money,
parents
but
like that.
she was dope.
You don't got nothing like that,
Listen,
huh?
No.
My kid comes back fueled.
Wow.
In public school, she's like, she teaches, like, she cares about me.
Yo, you
Yeah.
didn't say
Come
this
on.
on
Good.
IG Live.
Nah,
bro.
we were cutting on time. We're trying to do 15
Okay,
minutes.
oh, my bad.
And you know that wasn't gonna happen.
that one's pretty solid, though. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
bro. Let me tell you.
We buy supplies because we feel like it cuts them. Because when I hear these teachers, Anita, like, they have to be spending their own cash. Like, I've even heard
that's crazy.
it's bad, bro. Like, I've seen teachers that will go out to a bookstore and, like, excited to buy themselves a book, and they'll end up buying books for their class because they have no new books for their kids. And to me, like, it hurt me to my soul, because then when we start talking about how, this is where it gets ugly. We said it on IG Live, like, how now in certain states are favoring homeschooling to give those parents funding. They're taking it away from the public school system and giving it to homeschooling. And again, I'm not just saying that it's the best option, but it's pretty bad. They're already underpaid. Then you're saying at the same time, oh, we're going to also take money from your budget, and you're going to get less money for school.
They spent
for your paycheck.
$1.2 million in bee-friendly highways, the federal government.
Bro, it's bad, okay? It's bad. And then it'll lead us. So
Who cares about bee-friendly highways?
Well, bees are
Bees are important,
You won't have
but
any more
bee-friendly?
watermelons or almonds if there's no bees. Just so you know.
200,000 can go into the
No, but
infrastructure for
listen,
the
The thing
bees.
is, it's not about how much money each
Highways?
school is getting, because, okay, I know some people, a lot of teachers are going to disagree with me, but a big problem is mismanagement of funds.
Yes.
They get, like, Washington, D.C., their kids get, like, I think the most per student, like
Wow.
20,000 or something per student. And they have the lowest scores probably in the nation.
So something ain't
They got
connecting
kids
there.
don't know how to do math.
But
They're
that,
graduating.
wait,
like
so that leads me to this other conversation, and I'm gonna get to it in a second here, because we covered these, and this other part is going to be a longer one. But I want to make sure we go into this break, and then we'll come back, because this is the ending part of the public school system, which will talk about the curriculum that we only surfaced a little bit about. And so I want to tell people more about that, because this goes hand in hand with what you said, Anita, the scores of public schools, like the math, the reading comprehension, all that kind of stuff. We'll talk about it in a second. If you haven't followed us on Spotify, or if you haven't followed Bonsky, I'll give you Anita's stuff. It'll be tagged in this video on the bottom, so you'll see it too. If you haven't followed the Daddy Dialogue podcast or the YouTube, we'll give you all that stuff on the bottom. It'll be tagged on here somewhere or in the comments section. Go follow us on Facebook. We do some stuff on there that we don't do anywhere else. You see a little bit of behind the scenes. There'll be some giveaways. I don't know if we're going to be giving out massage packages, but we'll give out some coffee, some Starbucks cards or something. I know we have an interview coming up with some Black authors that are doing some amazing things, with just some Christian Black authors that are writing these beautiful children's books that we're going to be talking about. So maybe we'll do some giveaways of that. I got some stuff coming, but if you haven't followed on Facebook, go do that. That is the spot right now. That's where the main hub is. All the behind the scenes, all the episodes, everything is on there. Some of the biggest debates happen in there. And so we just want to build a community in there. It's not about me. It's not about Bonsky. It's not about Anita. It's really about the parents dialoguing in there.
Team DDP.
And finding, I don't know about all that, but listen, you're scaring me with that DDP.
Daddy Dialogue Podcast.
I get it. You really put some thought into it. You're scaring me B, when you threw that. Because I was like, where is he going with that? But I want to make sure that you go follow it. We'll be right back in a couple of seconds. After we snap our fingers, you'll get to see us. Make sure you go follow as you do this during this break, and we'll be right back on the Daddy Dialogue Podcast. Listen, we're back here at the Daddy Dialogue Podcast. Last segment, excited. We've had some great conversations. Learned a couple of new words here with Anita, right, bro?
Yo, straight up.
We've learned some new words. Governance?
I feel my beacon score going up
Your
as we speak next to her, bro.
You said governance?
Amazing. Governance.
See, son, I got reading comprehension, Poppy.
Straight up.
Public school, holler at me. All right, so we spoke about public school, and we were talking about some of the discrepancies and things that are sort of going against public school in this manner. Although I want to represent public schools, I will say there are some great things happening at public schools. For all the haters, people sitting on here, what are you talking about? It's a pit of hell. It's bad out there. No, it's not. There's a lot of great things still happening. There's still some really good schools, and we said this before. No matter what you pick out of any of these, you have to be totally involved with your kid. And if you do your research, there's some schools that have amazing scores, have amazing group of teachers that you can really get the best potential out of your child when they go there. So let's just make that clear. But we were talking about the bad side, and this brings me to the thing that when I was doing this homework, Anita and Alan, and trying to figure out where I could find the best things about public school, this thing kept coming up. This thing kept raving its face in my face, and I was like, oh my God, this is bad. And as I dug deeper and deeper into this hole, Alan, I came across this word, and this is curriculum. It's called Common Core. And the more I continued to research on Common Core, the atrocious the hole started to become. It was like this deep hole of, and then so what I did was, Anita, this is what I did, right? I was like, you know what? It's not that bad. Let me go call it. And Anita's like one of 4 or 5 friends that I have that are teachers. And so I was like, let me hit up. I hit up this girl, a friend of mine named Suli. She's a family member. She's a teacher. She teaches, I think, middle schoolers. And I was like, let me hit her up. Hey, what do you know about Common Core? Oh my God, don't even talk about that. That is the most horrible thing ever.
Hung up on you?
Yeah, it was like almost like there was a pause on the phone. And then she was like, where do I start? Because it's really bad. And I was like, oh, my God. Yeah. And so I knew a premise about Common Core. But Common Core has become – so a couple of years ago, just to give you some preface, everybody who's listening or watching right now, a couple of years ago, the government sort of took the power away from the parents and said, we are going to give you this curriculum. I guess the country felt like it was getting behind compared to the world. So the U.S. wants to be cocky, and, they're like, we're the smartest, we have all the weapons, blah, blah, blah. And so they were like, no, we got to have the smartest people. And so they're looking at Japan, China, all these other countries, and they're like, man, our scores are horrible compared to the other world, the world in general. And so we got to do something. And so somebody came up with the bright idea, I don't know exactly who, to bring this Common Core curriculum to the masses. And it was a culture shock, and it was honestly possibly I haven't met one teacher yet who has said it is a great curriculum and they are happy to have it. Actually, I started connecting the dots, and I realized that kids and parents are having a hard time just dealing with homework at the house because of this curriculum. And I wondered, because 2 years ago, look at your face.
Yeah,
that means
bro.
you've been through it.
Son,
Yeah,
I gave up.
You're like, where was this homework when I
said,
was in school?
Ask your teacher tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's not what you're supposed to do,
Bro, I couldn't.
bro.
Sweetheart, this is past my pay grade. You're going to be much better than me in life than I.
That's what you did.
I did it.
You were like, give it to your teacher.
Mijita, baby, I love you. Go somewhere else with that.
Oh my God. You gotta call somebody, B.
Who am I going to call?
Look, Ghostbusters. No, bro, you call a friend that maybe is a teacher and educate. You know what I
Son,
did?
all my friends work with their hands.
Okay, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm assuming you had a friend that was a teacher. You're thinking now. You don't have
I
one.
don't.
I have a lot. That's a problem. I have like 5. But I didn't even have to. My wife is great at math because that's where the biggest struggle was. She was even telling me like, yo, some of this stuff is, what is this? I need that so people are aware, because you've dealt with the Common Core curriculum before. Tell me, I think this is what we didn't ask on the IG Live. I think this is why this is the best part. When you came encounter with it for the first time, was it quick red flags, or did you quickly like realize, oh my God, this is going to be a problem? Or did you give it, were you like the kind of teacher that was like, you know what, I'm going to give it a chance. These people, somebody smarter than me did this. How did you approach the curriculum? Were you open about it at first? Or were you like, well, somebody smarter picked this out, so we'll figure it out. These kids will make it happen.
I think it was more, well, I've always taught reading and language arts.
Okay.
So I don't think it's as noticeable in the reading program as much as it is in math. But for reading.
Hold on. There's Common Core in reading too?
No, loco, it's the curriculum, cuz it's everything.
Oh, yeah.
But what
It's math. No,
yeah.
loco, it's everything.
But the differences in reading are, it's not like, I mean, the idea is to make it more leaning towards the critical thinking aspect of it so that the kids will think more deeply about what they're reading. But it just got really hard. And the questions are just.
Well, that's not bad.
Even the questions are kind of like, what are you asking?
No,
like,
but loco, no, wait, bro. Wait.
Well,
I think
it's literature.
the younger ages, it's not as noticeable to the parents because it's
No,
just
because
like, oh,
in
okay, that makes sense.
my kids' grade, like the way they wanted you to break stuff down, cuz.
But with
I was
literacy, that sounds pretty
loco,
cool. But I'm waiting.
I was like, wait up, bro. Like this used to be really easy. This is
Yeah.
a paragraph, explain. But now is
They want you to check 2 answers. They'll give you like 5 answers that are possible answers, and then it's like it's not one answer is correct. It's like which is most correct out of the 3.
The
Yeah,
wordplay
then
was
you're
the
just
part.
like,
Okay.
No, it was the
Yeah.
wordplay that was throwing me off. Like it was getting me heated. Like why are they trying to trick us here?
Exactly, yeah.
Let's just be clear. We're learning something new. Why trick me? Or even because then you put the person that's listening in a position where they're almost like fearful, like, oh my God, am I going to make a mistake? They're not learning. There's no space to learn because you're more scared.
And then the teachers had to teach towards the tests so that this way the kids would pass and be successful. So then you don't really spend time creating a love for reading or creating a love for, learning. It's
you're just trying to
mostly,
get by.
okay, we got to learn these standards so that this way you could pass the test so that we could get, keep our jobs and we can keep the school grade and we can keep,
See that? You
So-
see that, bro?
Yeah, see, that's
like
where
there's
Yeah.
this it's to
It
the
was all
point.
tied together.
And you tell me if I'm wrong. I've even noticed, even at my son's school, that they even have separate classes after school, like special sessions, because of this stuff.
And they stopped teaching science during testing time. They stopped teaching history. They're like, okay, we're just going to focus on the FCAT. We're going to
there's
focus
so
on
much
this.
pressure on the teacher. Because remember, if they don't pass, it's just to reflect, oh, the teacher's not doing her job. She could be
Yeah.
killing herself, overly
Oh
trying
my
to.
gosh. And
you
then
understand?
still not be accepted.
You understand the parameters of how messed up it is?
Yeah,
And so
I
I
get it.
wonder, so when the red flag you realized as soon as you started looking at the math part of it, right?
Yeah, like when we started hearing about how kids were having like a problem, like just reading the math problems, like I had to sub for a class once and I was like, what is this? Like I hadn't seen the math before and I was like, this doesn't make any sense. It's like, this is the answer, just like what parents go through.
Yeah.
We went through the same thing.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
you know, some teachers are like, you know, want to play for the team, and they're like, well, you know, we just have to give it a chance. It's a deeper way of thinking about math, and I'm just like, I think this is going to confuse them and make it harder for them, and they're not going to be as successful as we want them to be. Because in the end, you're teaching to the test.
Here's the kicker, buddy.
Bro, what does Scratch Perry say in his song?
What?
The Jamaican.
What?
Money I come and money I go.
Yeah.
But I remain. Done.
Everything's about
That's
money.
life.
Listen.
Yeah.
Comes and goes. Subtract and add. Done. Where do you have to add the Common Core into
Here's
that?
Here's the kicker. Here's the kicker that's really gonna get you. The scores they're worse now. They're not as good. They're
Yeah.
worse now with this curriculum.
Yeah.
Okay, like
because they're too busy
combination-
complaining about the system.
combination of the pressure, the overcrowding, the underpaying of teachers. When you compile this sancocho of situations put together, like literally, you have to be called from God to be a teacher. Because for you to deal with that, there's teachers leaving all the time. Because they're like, wait, first,
droves.
you're underpaying me. Secondly, you're giving me this curriculum that is hard for me to even get my students to follow through. Third, like,
Kids are out of control.
there's a lot, bro.
They just want to be podcasters.
I guess.
YouTubers.
It doesn't
YouTubers
really,
and
gamers.
At this point,
E-gamers.
I've heard like in certain states, teachers are leaving and working at McDonald's and like
Making
straight up,
money at
cuz.
Costco, yeah.
Yo, cuz when you look at the benefits,
That's the reverse of what they're trying to do.
it's bad. So then Common Core and there is no pros and cons. It is bad. I haven't heard one teacher.
So I don't know if you know, but in 2020, DeSantis got rid of Common Core in Florida.
So it's done.
So that's done. But now we have a new set of standards. So some teachers are like, okay, great. We don't have to worry so much about the pressure that we had before.
Mm-hmm.
But now, again, we have to wait and see.
And
Let's
you
see
and
what
the
happens.
and the problem is you're adapting a whole nother system again.
Yeah, and they
that
did
you're
it
really not
over
gonna-
Is it
and
the same
over
as
and over
before?
again.
You're really-
Or
No, es diferente, but you're not going to see, result. It's going to,
Yeah.
for you to develop a program
why
like
is
that,
it 11?
huh?
It's not like, why is it 11?
Yeah, and
I just feel like regardless of what curriculum they implement, you're not to implement a curriculum, that's not going to happen in one school year. You're not going to see if it really is
Yeah.
valuable or if it's really worth it 3-4 years. So they already banged up the first one. And literally, because when you're talking about bringing a new curriculum, that's money spent on school books.
Okay, but have the people that have graduated under that, have they been like interviewed? Like, hey, this is your 3rd, 4th year out of high school.
Probably not.
No, because remember, bro, like
How did you go?
This is
How's
the part-
life?
there's more illiteracy now than before. So
that's what I'm saying. The scores aren't coming out good.
more kids are failing math and
Yes.
reading.
But
than
then the
ever
real
before.
life, too, it's just real life.
And then the sad part is,
Not just the score.
and then if you start looking through the cracks, Anita, if we're just being honest here, I'm not saying this is you, but some teachers are like, forget it.
Yeah.
These kids are going to pass. I don't care what.
Oh,
All right,
yeah,
hey,
they just
Billy,
write 'em.
Billy, here's
They
this
give
is a
up.
review sheet.
Yeah.
You're going to, because loco, that's your paycheck, cuz.
Oh, snap.
It's
Too much
that's what I'm saying.
stress.
It gets,
Yeah.
it's too much pressure on
El
the teacher.
estrés.
¿Tú crees que un maestro estaba pensando,
Nah, he just wants to pass. Just
Loco.
Get him gone.
they want to make it to the next school year so they can pay their
It's
mortgage?
like my man, Mr. Tuttle. He
You-
just pass him. Just pass Allen. Just pass him. There's more? You have a younger brother and a younger sister? There's more?
I'm not. It's really bad. And so, saying all that, we can continue going on with Common Core
Oh, no.
because it's like a bonfire.
But it's
it just
gone, right?
continues to.
It's
It's
gone
gone.
in Florida.
It's
Yeah.
gone in
gone in
Florida. No,
Florida.
but there's other states.
But
that
the
still
thing
have-
is like
Man.
the damage has been done.
Yeah.
You have all these kids.
Yeah, 'cause
that
there's
are in
some that
school,
graduated.
and then the pandemic.
some got through the cracks
That was
and they
another
passed
thing.
and they don't know nothing. And
Yeah.
they're right
They
now.
passed all the kids in whatever grade they were in, and during those 2 years, they passed them.
Si sabían que they were
And
going
those
to get
kids
them.
didn't do any work, nothing.
Yo.
Wish I would have got one of those. Listen, so talking about Common Core, I want to end on this note because the great thing about this is that we'll have more conversations about this as this evolves because I feel like this is something ongoing all the time. And as I got Bonsky here thinking like, wow, it just goes so much. We've covered almost 60 minutes of this thing, just playing around with the surface of this thing because there's so much more. You wrote me you gave me some text, some context of some other stuff. We'll be talking about more stuff. There's so much more that we could definitely, if you have the time, we're always open. But So if we had to give people an option, what would you say? And I'll let Alan go first. Here, Alan, you tell me, Alan, if you had to pick one, there was no boundaries. You had you balling you were balling the Puerto Rican in the 80s like Anita's peoples. That they were just dropping 800
straight up.
Straight up every month. What would you pick and why?
I would definitely pick private for a season.
Okay.
And then put them out to the wolves.
So you would, okay.
Yeah. Because I grown to appreciate, because you seem, right? You walked in, you seemed fine. You weren't cuffing your purse like, hi, guys. You know what I mean? Like, you weren't like, you seem very.
No, Anita has a little hood in her.
Like, yeah. So what I need
she could be the other person. She could be nice. And,
so there's the dynamic to her. That's what I like.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
I only
I'm
know
not
that
naive.
because we took pictures and I saw the hood. She has, if you talk to her a lot, you'll see.
My dad was the street Bronx guy.
Oh, so
so I don't want to be naive.
You know what it is? Anita is well-spoken. That's what it is. She's well-spoken.
I like that.
She's a teacher.
Because that gives me a perspective. I mean, I knew not everyone's going to be like that, but I worry about it. Because now more than ever, you can't even look at these kids in the eyes. Do you look at your students in the eyes and they look back at you in the eyes?
The thing is, you have to present more crazy than they are. If you don't present more crazy,
see that? That's a whole nother convo.
Then the authority is challenged. So
yeah,
as
the
a
authority
teacher,
is challenged.
You have to be like, I am willing to lose it all right now.
For
you don't get in your seat.
And you see them, and you see them testing
and
the
they
boundary.
don't listen sometimes. It's just like, I'm going to get a referral. I'm going to call your parents.
They don't care about those things.
I don't care.
No.
I'm like, all right, then I don't either.
Because they don't care.
Then you're going to fail the class.
Have you had a kid cuss at you before?
Yeah.
Oh, snap, son. You understand why I can't be a teacher?
Yeah, bro.
Because I seen videos.
You lose your freedom.
Some people might say this.
You're so right about that.
I'm just keeping it funky, B. Like, I've seen these videos, like, some of these teachers retaliate. Like, literally, where the kid got in this, and
then they get fired.
And then they get fired. But
I
bet he felt so relieved, like, I just dish-ragged this kid.
Do you know every teacher was like, yeah, finally, yes!
One for us.
Bro.
No, and he lost his job.
But they took care of him.
They do. They
took care of that GoFundMe because, something, man.
Eso, loco, tú tienes que tener Dios, manín, porque yo no puedo.
Yes, yep.
No, because the kids, it's different breed of jits now, bro. They talk slick-sided. They know exactly what to do to get you there. And so you're dealing with it all the time. So you're saying one of the secrets is showing them that you're crazier than they are.
Yeah, that's
and they'll
dope.
calm that down.
That's dope.
There's a level you set. There's a level.
But if they're really crazier than you, then
there's
can't
nothing
really
you
do anything.
I got a 19-year-old.
You just get them out of your class.
It's like, I need a principal because I'm gonna quit right now.
Yeah.
You don't get
I hear you. Just
because this ain't worth it. I'm not getting paid enough. For
this is not. Yeah,
I got a 19-year-old that he's seen my crazy, but he's also seen my diligence and he's seen my work ethic.
Okay, so
and it's changed him.
Also, he respects it.
It's changed him, and I love that kid.
He respects that.
He respects
and a lot of them need love. That's what it is.
More than anything.
Yes.
They need love because at home they're not getting any. And so they come to school, they're
They act
disrespectful, they act out because they feel like nobody cares about them.
When
so
you
they don't
check
care about
them,
them. And
it's a whole different level when you check them.
It is.
And you check them with love, though.
And I'm not going to lie, it feels so good.
It does, man. But I think they actually enjoy it. I'm not even going to lie to you. I think they actually enjoy it because not all of them get the discipline. But when they do and they see that that it's an intentional type of discipline, they'll be like, man, maybe this dude actually cares for me.
Because they needed that attention.
Yeah.
Any attention is what they're looking for.
That's why I feel it's pivotal that you set those boundaries early. Because if you show them the fear of Jesus early, not fear, if they respect you early, your kid will always at least open his ear to listen to you when you have something to say. If you set like my son is 9, about to be 10, and I had to really push at the beginning stages where now, and the last couple of years we've been talking, and this is just other things we've spoken about, but there was, I tell him all the time, son, I don't need you to fear me. Like, I need you to respect me. Like, so you respect me enough to tell me and trust me enough to tell me when something is wrong.
Yep.
Like, because if I'm just dándote fuetazo every time that something is wrong, you're not going to come to me when there's a problem. And so, like, I think that all correlates, especially with kids, when you set that boundary early. And sadly, you're right, Anita. Like, some of them, Alan, they come in, none of that is happening at home. So you're getting a full masterpiece of
They're gonna
Onreguero.
thank you later.
And
Some
you're
of them
just-
will thank you later. Probably
Yeah.
the hardest ones.
Yeah.
No, and some of them
Hopefully.
change when they get some of that around them. Some teachers are impactful to the point that they remember. Kids remember, like,
Miss
they're
Rivera,
adults.
bro. She
Yep.
told me she would clock me upside the head. Remember
Yeah.
that?
She was
I
wild,
needed
crazy.
that back then.
Miss Rivera was a Bronx. This chick
Yeah.
that was
She was
literally.
from the Bronx, the boogie down, as they used to say back in 1980.
And so they respect you for that. So you gave me yours, Anita. If you had to pick, no boundaries of money, and you could pick one of them, which one would you pick? Public, private, or homeschooling?
Yeah, for my kids, I would homeschool.
She said, "My kids."
Oh,
Yeah,
snap.
I would
Means-
homeschool.
Yeah,
I would do.
but you're a teacher.
Yeah, but the thing is, look, I studied music. That was my degree in music.
Oh,
Okay?
theory?
Yeah. Well, I had to take music theory.
I
Music-
just didn't.
vocal
I don't know if
performance.
it's like. Oh, okay.
Vocal performance. So that was my major. That I graduated. I didn't study to be a teacher. It's just like, it's about breaking things down in a way that they can understand.
Got it.
So, and reading. I'm teaching reading, and I didn't like reading in school. So
Wow.
I got this job because
I
my
like reading.
sister was the one that she knew she was going to be a teacher from the beginning. And
Oh, so your teacher, your sister's a teacher too?
Well, now she's an assistant principal.
Okay. Oh, wow.
How do you
Yeah.
move? How do you move like that?
How do you
She-
move?
That's
She
another
got her-
story.
She
Yeah,
got her
that's all.
master's degrees and all that. Yeah.
Oh,
Yo,
yeah.
snap.
That's some years in there, boy.
Papers.
Yeah. So I realized that back to the teaching
Do
my
we-
kids or whatever. So I feel like first I would want to know how they work, and if they're able to handle it, like you said, like to go to public school, then public school has some good programs and stuff. I wouldn't want them to miss out on that. But really, it depends on what's the environment of the world, and am I seeing like, is it out of control in the schools now?
Because it could be a different world in 10, 15 years.
Exactly.
Oh,
And
yes.
so
They
you
wouldn't
don't
think
know.
about that either.
So I would just like be like, hey, if anybody else wants to homeschool, come on in. And like what I was gonna say about parents is like, if you could have patience, you can do it. If you can have patience with your kid and figure out some strategies, like, okay, like I said, okay, I realize after 2 hours I'm about to lose it. So I am going to take a 3-hour break, and then maybe we'll come back to it, and maybe we'll come back to it tomorrow. But the thing is, we have to lose that idea of like, I don't want my kids to fall behind. What is fall behind?
Yeah.
There's no such thing as fall
Where's your
behind.
barometer?
You can
Kids-
determine that.
Kids,
Exactly.
they grow at their own pace. So, I mean, when your kid is having a problem learning something and it's the teacher that's the problem, you're going to go in there and you're going to be like, hey, what's going on? Because
Adjust
my
it.
kid at home, he's doing this with me, but when he's with you, he stops. He doesn't want to read. He doesn't want to do anything. So, don't be afraid of being a parent. You're the one that God gave the authority over the child, not teachers, not schools. So you have to be the one to fight for them and know, what
Straight
they
up.
need and what they
good.
can do.
It's
So
really good.
Have you rebuked the kid? Like he didn't even know
No, I
you
don't
were
think you
coming
can
out
do.
with
Can
that.
you do that? You can't do that.
no.
Can you just put your
No,
hand
no,
out and not
that's-
say
that's
nothing,
like
and then
overly
all of a
churchy.
sudden he's
I
just
mean,
like,
I say it in my head
Oh,
and I
of
say it
course,
like
okay.
under my breath, and I'm like,
Mm.
Jesus, in the name of Jesus,
Right.
Like,
All right, so, yeah.
But
I wish
there's a
mine
lot
was
of Christian teachers out there, though.
Okay.
So and we pray for our kids and stuff, and we know that they're coming from homes where
There's
the
some
parents,
devilish kids too.
They
Yeah.
be out there.
It is. It's rough.
What do you
But-
feel about VR?
virtual reality.
Yeah, I've seen already commercials, students all lined up, and they just put on these.
I don't like it. I don't like anything going. Okay, so I'm a traditionalist.
Yeah,
I don't like.
I knew she was going to say that.
Yeah,
You could tell
I
by the
don't
way
like
she talks about
going
school.
technology is important, and yes, it
Yes.
is the way of the future.
Uh-huh.
But I
We went
think-
from feather pens to now, Bics and stuff. So
Okay,
I'm asking.
I understand that, but like
Yeah,
I
you're
feel
like
like if you go
advancement.
too far out into technology where you're not able to survive in like
You're
what happens
stuck.
if China sends an EMP out here and we
Because
don't
all
have
your
electronic-
dependency is on the
Yeah, so you ain't gonna know how to do anything. You can't add, you can't
No.
read, you gotta Google
But
everything.
wouldn't
No, no, no,
Google
it's like-
automatically,
it's like-
artificially intelligently
it's
tell
like,
you?
it's if you correlate it to like, this might show my age or that I'm an old dude, but loco, there's something like grabbing your Bible compared to reading it on your phone. There's just something
I hear you.
can't. It's having
you.
it, and I'm talking about the same engagement with a teacher in your face, like taking the time. A good teacher, not all teachers. Okay, there's some teachers that you really feel impacted. I remember like when I was young, language arts. There was Miss Lockhart. I remember her name to this day, and I only remember her name because I remember how she walked me through reading and how it's impacted me to this day, and how I read and how I maneuver and how I read really fast, whatever. And so like, there's just something about that VR can never give you. Yes, there's some exciting parts about VR. I will say that that could enhance kids in certain scenarios.
Yeah.
But I think, and I'll end with this, and because we could keep going. I think we all enjoy talking
Ms.
about this
Lockhart
topic.
sounds like a standard awesome teacher.
She is a great teacher. Yes, she's a Black American lady. She's amazing.
Shout out to Miss Mac. Shout out to Miss High Note. Shout out to
Yes.
Miss Zen.
There's some great teachers. You're just bringing all your teachers.
Bro, them three. Oh,
You remember them. They impacted your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to make sure we say this and before we get out of here is that all of these require one thing. Doesn't matter which one you're picking, if it's public, private, or homeschooling. You as a parent are going to be highly involved. It's just going to have to happen. And I don't think there's a perfect one for anything. Like, I think, like how you said, which I think is interesting, you're like, you can adapt, you can rearrange, you can switch up, you can, if you know that you're going to strangle your kid after 2 hours, take a break and come back or find what works for you. That's why I think, like, regardless of the option, you
I like
pick
what
the
you
one.
said there.
Yeah, the one that works.
Find out what works for you.
Because
Real quick,
everybody's different.
Mr. Clark, big shout out to him. I hated math. He was my math teacher.
He got you.
He put a quote. He put a quote in the corner. Hey, if you write that quote and you write it down and you show me, you pass my class. It was a D, but D's passing.
Wait,
right?
so you didn't necessarily learn anything.
Not really, but I wrote those quotes
Oh
down.
my God, I'm sure it's like you were writing
Son,
lines.
If you had all D's, you're not gonna graduate.
Yo,
but
no
at least
wonder your
one D
math
gets you
skills were
by.
trash, bro.
But my rhymes,
What's his name?
because of the quotes,
you've-
got me by. Quotes of hope, quotes of deep thinking.
But you didn't learn math,
Bro, I didn't learn math.
You're
He
killing
should.
me,
He
dude.
low key wanted to be a reading, like he wanted to
No,
do some type
I
of
will say this.
literature.
But that's really nice that he did that.
Yo,
Yeah.
Mr. Clark, bro, I love
That
you,
means
bro.
nobody was failing
I
in
paid
Mr. Clark's
attention.
class.
Nah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It was pretty cold
And
cut
here
and
we
dry.
are pushing
This
educators.
goes way back.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
bro. Out of all the things, so you're telling me this is embarrassing.
Promise you.
I don't know how you even said, but it's a great story. I'm not gonna lie.
I love him though.
This is gold. This is
Yes,
probably
the
gonna be
man,
one of our
Mr.
clips
Clark.
for IG. So you're telling me this teacher, what's his name?
Mr. Clark.
Shout out, Mr. Clark.
I wonder
wish
where
I
you
would've
are,
had
my
because
brother.
My math skills were trash.
I wonder
cuz.
where you are, my friend.
Yo, you literally told your students, look, son, you're gonna fail this, and you're a dummy at math. But if you
If
write,
you
this
write
quote,
these quotes down,
I
you'll
need that
pass
you're
my
in. I'll
class.
pass you with a D. You get a
Beard,
pass.
man.
So you
I
passed.
just remember, man. I remember.
He looked out for you.
He looked out for me.
Imagine if he was there every year. You'd be good. You're gonna write
Oh
this school
yeah,
smooth.
write that quote down.
Yeah.
You hate PE?
Wait,
I got a quote for
Let me
that.
ask you a question. Did he do this with all students, or is it like a low key thing for you?
No. All students.
Oh,
yeah.
they got
He
like a
gave
lo-
he gave you the opportunity.
So all his kids passed.
I mean,
You
if-
had to be a
if they
total
wrote it,
moron in your class and not
bro,
just write the line.
Pretty bad. You had to be pretty bad.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
whatever it takes.
Bayside High
You gotta
School.
love public school, bro.
Bayside?
This is
No,
definitely
Southwest.
defending-
Southwest.
This is really defending public schools in such a great light.
I don't know, man.
I
Maybe
love
because I don't know. Maybe
It's
this is a
real.
story for another time.
No,
but-
it's all right. No, but trust me, you said enough.
Yeah.
You said
okay.
enough. This is
Okay.
gold. It's the best story I've heard you say so far, B.
For sure.
I
We can
did
dig
not
into
know
it
you
too,
were
but
coming
we're here
from
for
that.
it.
I
We're here
didn't
for the-
know. No, B, you gave me enough. It's
we're
gold.
here
Trust
for
me.
the home girl though.
We're writing
Maybe
quotes.
a combination, public and private.
Yeah.
Public and
Or
private
No,
public and
but B,
homeschool.
B put you had the Hispanics say when you put the ribbon on the joint, boom, you put.
Machea.
Yeah.
That's not even a word either. Él lo hizo para que se machea.
Loco, the more you talk, the more you make me proud that we're
Yes,
public
sir,
students.
we made it.
Bro.
We did it.
And on that note,
On that note, what do we do?
Anita,
What do we do, Anita?
Anita, finish us. Give us the last thought here. What do we do if we're choosing and we have to choose here between one of the three? You got 60 seconds.
You got to know your kid and know what you want for your kid, and then pay attention. Put them in whatever it is you want to do, and then see how they respond. If you see progress, then keep going, obviously. If you don't see progress, then try something new. Don't be too stuck on something, one method. So that's what I think.
Bam.
Anita, thank you. You have been amazing. We'll have you soon on again because you are a great guest.
Thank you.